Hello everyone, I am Lalit Singh from Jagran Public School, Lucknow. I welcome you all on this presentation, Sectors of Economy. After going through this presentation, you will be able to comprehend different sectors of economy on the basis of nature of activities, employment and ownership. You will understand the relationship between these sectors. You will also learn about unemployment and its challenges. Now we begin with what is sector. People for their survival pursue different economic activities based on their education and skills. Usually these economic activities are classified into various sectors. On the basis of nature of activities, these are firstly divided into two groups, agricultural and non-agricultural. Agricultural activities are related to primary sector and non-agricultural activities are related to secondary and tertiary sector. Let's understand about primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. Primary sector. Primary sector includes those goods which are produced by exploiting natural resources. It means these goods we receive directly from nature. It comprises of both food items and non-food items. Food items include wheat, rice, pulses, fruits, and non-food items include jute and cotton. This sector also includes other activities like fishery, forestry, mining, and quarrying. Secondary sector. In this sector, natural goods are used to produce final goods through process of manufacturing. For example, making sugar from sugarcane, bricks from clay. This sector also includes important activities like manufacturing, construction, supply of water, gas and electricity. Tertiary sector. Those activities contribute in the development of primary sector and secondary sector are called tertiary sector. This sector does not produce goods but offers various services like trade, restaurants, financial services like banking and insurance, services of teachers, advocates and doctors, other services like tourism and shopping. GDP, that is gross domestic product. It refers to the total value of all final goods and services produced in a country in given financial year. The value of final goods mean that it does not include the value of intermediate goods. GDP is measured by Central Statistical Office, which functions under the Ministry of Statistics and Program. Now we will understand the role of primary, secondary and tertiary sector. Let's begin with role of primary sector. At the time of independence, Indian economy was largely dependent on agriculture and allied activities. In present, despite its reduced contribution in GDP, this sector is still providing food to everyone. It also provides work to the largest section of Indian population. All agro-based industries like sugar, jute, textile and paper industry depends on this sector for supply of raw materials. Role of secondary sector. The contribution of secondary sector in India's GDP has been increasing over time after independence. This growth can be attributed to increased number of manufacturing industries. This sector provides work to millions of people. It creates perishable goods like pen, paper, shoes for consumers. It also helps to grow infrastructure like rails, roads, bridges, schools and hospitals. The role of tertiary sector. The fastest growing sector in India is tertiary sector. Its share in India's GDP is more than 50%. In employment, it contributes more than 20% of the Indian workers. It promotes development of health and education sector. It also helps to grow primary and secondary sector by providing services like transportation, banking and insurance. It's time to understand the relationship between primary, secondary and tertiary sector. Primary sector provides raw material to secondary sector. Secondary sector in return gives all agricultural tools and required fertilizers to primary sector. As we know, after production of goods at primary and secondary level, it has to be transported, it has to be stored in godowns, it has to be sold in wholesale or at retail shop. For doing all these activities, we may require to talk to others over telephone or send letters or borrow money from bank for production and trade. Let's take an example of sugar. For production of sugar at primary stage, we need to cultivate sugarcane. At secondary stage, we need to process sugarcane in sugar mill, and then tertiary sector provides transportation facility at both primary and secondary stage. It also helps in selling of sugar by wholesalers and retailers. Employment. Unemployment is the situation when individuals are ready to work at prevailing wage rate in market but not able to find work. The number of unemployment is calculated by subtracting workforce from labor force. Labor force includes both persons who requires work and those who are working, whereas workforce includes only those persons who are employed. Disguised unemployment. When more people are employed in a job than actually required is called disguised unemployment. If some of them are withdrawn from work, total production still remains same. Let's understand this with an example of a farmer's family which consists of 5 members. They have a small piece of land. All these members together cultivate it throughout year and produce 10 quintals of rice. Now in the next year only 3 members cultivate the same plot and produce same output. It means those 3 members were enough to cultivate the land. The other 2 members are thus said to be disguisedly unemployed. National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, popularly called NREGA scheme, formulated in 2005 and enacted on February 2, 2006. It was implemented in 625 districts of country in order to provide livelihood to rural people. Later on, it was renamed as Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. The objective of this scheme was to provide 100 days of employment to every rural household. In case government fails to provide employment, there is a provision of unemployment allowance. This is why it is also called as right to work. Sectors on the basis of employment are divided into 2 categories. First, organized sector, and second, unorganized sector. Those organizations which function under various government rules and regulations like Factories Act, Minimum Wages Act and Payment of Gratuity Act are called organized sector. This sector offers regular employment along with fixed working hours to the workers. Government salaries, house and health facility, and other facilities like paid leave, paid holidays, and pension after retirement are key highlights of this sector. Those organizations which do not follow government rules and regulations are called unorganized sector. It includes a large number of small and scattered units. The condition of workers in this sector is miserable. Workers receive low salary, working hours are not fixed, and there is also no guarantee of regular employment. They are not offered facilities like paid leave, paid holidays, and provident funds. Sectors on the basis of ownership are divided into two categories. First, public sector, and second, private sector. Those organizations which are owned and managed by government are called public sector. For example, railways and post office. This sector work on the concept of welfare of people. To run these organizations, revenue is extracted from tax, duty and penalty imposed on people. It offers job security and other benefits to its employees. Those organizations which are owned and managed by private individuals are called private sector. For example, Reliance Tisco. This works on the concept of profit maximization. To run these organizations, revenue is created by issuing shares and debentures and taking loans from banks. Thank you.